What these ideas can be helpful, but taken to the extremes, it's denying real human emotion, right? And we are having a human experience. So, be wary of anyone who's like, oh no, I've just completely ascended and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Either they're not from this planet legit and they just have a skin suit, or, they just haven't done the work, the real work.
Welcome to Elevated Life, Real Wellness and Transformation Podcast, where we walk alongside the internally driven individual as they transform their life through wellness, movement, mindset, and personal responsibility. If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's jump in.
Spiritual bypassing is a term used in psychology and spirituality to describe when someone uses spiritual ideas, beliefs, or practices to avoid dealing with real emotional wounds, psychological work, or difficult life realities. The term was coined in the 1980s by John Wellwood, who noticed that many people in spiritual communities were using spiritual language to sidestep unresolved emotional issues instead of healing them. In simple terms, spiritual bypassing equals using spirituality to avoid doing deeper inner work.
What?
Instead of processing pain, trauma, anger, grief, or accountability, a person jumps straight into positivity, detachment, or higher consciousness.
Yes.
Let's jump in.
Let's do it. I'm just going to jump right in the boiling pot and say this is absolutely something that I have struggled with. I'll get closer. In the past. And there are aspects to this that I struggle with. I think that I was forced into a corner last year to stop spiritual bypassing. And, is just... that's just the way that it went. But I definitely struggled with what we're going to talk about today. And the reason why we're talking about this is because it's really easy to jump from, okay, I'm done doing negative people and drama. I'm going to jump over here to good vibes only. And we did a podcast about good vibes only, but I thought we would dive deep into what this actually is. Because with the expansion of consciousness happening on the planet right now, I want people to be aware, right, of what this looks like. And also so that you can see with discernment, not with judgment, those people who we're in this whole no guru thing right now that are maybe teaching more of the spiritual bypassing instead of the snot face on your bed, crying, dealing with your shit.
Yeah, this one is, before we get in, it's very complex and nuanced.
Yes.
And if you don't have a good understanding of it, just internally for yourself, it can really feel like, oh, I'm doing the shit that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm checking all these boxes and I mean it.
Yeah.
But really, what is it? Is it really just spiritual bypassing at some level, or is it actually something deeper? So I think anybody who has gone on this journey has probably dealt with, whether they realize it or not, some level of spiritual bypassing, especially when you start.
Sure. I absolutely agree with that. I can talk about my own experience. I thought, oh no, this is it, right? Just hop right over to the good vibes only. And that helped. I can honestly say that was like the first step of maybe, awakening. But then it was like, okay, now we're going to dive in. So with that, let's dive in.
So go ahead and dive in.
Okay. So at its root, spiritual bypassing is an avoidant strategy, which is probably one of the reasons why I globbed onto it for so long, because, if you've listened to past podcasts, you know that I was an avoidant for a huge part of my life. So painful experiences like childhood wounds, shame, betrayal, grief, and trauma are uncomfortable to face, right? And so spiritual beliefs can become fake, a shortcut around the feelings, all the things, basically. So that rather than moving through the pain, you completely jump away from it. That's it.
Which feels good.
Yeah. It does feel good, especially when you've been living in what the fuck chaos.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I can say from my own experience, it felt very good for a season, right? It did. So these are some phrases that, they can look like. So you guys are aware. Everything happens for a reason, right? Just stay positive. Or good vibes only. We've talked about that. That's just your ego, right? That's another one. Or I've transcended that, right? These are, the language sounds really spiritual and it sounds good. And there is some goodness in it, right? But the underlying emotions remain unprocessed because that can look ugly, really. Those emotions in the spiritual world, the real emotions detached to that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So why does it happen?
There's lots of reasons. We'll get into a few of them here. But the first one being discomfort with pain. Really.
Yeah.
So basically what you're just talking about is I'm not interested. I feel bad. I feel vulnerable. I feel like all those negative things. And I don't want to do that anymore. And I mean, a lot of these things are going to kind of mesh together. But there's so much now that's like, well, then don't feel that.
Yeah.
And oh, hey, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't have to feel this anymore.
Right.
And now I'm good.
Yeah.
Except you're not.
Yeah.
But definitely discomfort with pain.
Yeah. And once someone identifies as a spiritual person, it really becomes, and I can, say this for myself, it becomes really difficult to identify with emotions like anger, jealousy, resentment, fear, inadequacy, whatever those things are. Like, who really wants to feel that? Right? But we've talked about it before. The only way out is through. But, you jump into this bypassing, at least I did at first. Right? It seemed natural to me. It was my path.
Yeah. This one also dabbles in some of the ego, because if you instantly become, I'm enlightened, or, I've moved into this good vibes only kind of a feel. And then that's the identity that you try to create with other people. Now, all of a sudden you have to live that all the time.
Perform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm the good vibes only guy now.
Yeah.
So if I get pissed off about something, everybody's gonna be like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Why are you having emotions? Like I definitely battled this for sure. It became performative, but I really did at the heart of that feel kind of good vibes only. Right. But then when those things would bubble up, I was like, push that shit down. Right. And it's going to bubble up like a volcano if you don't deal. So the other thing is culturally, we have pressure to be positive right now.
Sorry to interrupt, but especially when you're just starting this journey and you're just like a sponge looking for information.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do? How do I do this? All these things. And then it's like, oh, well, that's what you hear. You see on Instagram, like, just, again, be positive.
Right.
And everything is great. I'm like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. So these ideas can be helpful, but taken to the extremes, it's denying real human emotion, right? And we are having a human experience. So you know, be wary of anyone who's like, oh no, I've just completely ascended and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Either they're not from this planet legit and they just have a skin suit, or, you know, they just haven't done the work, the real work. Yeah.
The last one that I wanted to mention before we move on was fear of losing control. And I think this one impacted me the most when I started this whole thing, because you feel like I can't go back. One tiny step, what feels like backwards, you know, if I used to get pissed off about whatever situation, and now I don't do that anymore. So if I feel that even a tiny bit, like, oh fuck, I'm done. I'm fully back into exactly. All this is nothing. I'm, you know, whatever. It spirals. So there's definitely that too. So it's good, that constant feeling of, no, I have to stay 100% positive with everything. I cannot feel these emotions, otherwise it might spiral into who knows what.
Sure, but you know, we've talked about this before. Healing is an infinity sign, right? And so it really is 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 4 steps forward, 3 steps back. Like, that is literally how it is. So if you are experiencing that, then good. Like, good. If you're just walking in good vibes only, I don't do drama, I've ascended, I've had an ego death, you know, all of these terms, and you haven't been laid out snot-faced on the ground, you know, chickadee check, right? Chickadee check yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So what does it look like? What does it look like when, I guess it's things that, because I want to avoid, you know, like, oh, I'm looking at that person, they're clearly spiritual bypassing, right? We're not talking about for other people. What does this look like internally? Some things that if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, I wonder if I'm doing that because I feel like I'm good vibes all the time, you know? What are some things that you can look for inward to see if that's actually happening? So
before we move into that, I really want to make this clear, and we make this clear when we dive deep into these kinds of podcasts. We say these things for you to hold the mirror up, right? We're not saying this so that you can go out and judge all the other people. Like, that's not where we're at on this podcast. So we say things, we're talking about this because this is something that we have struggled with. We didn't have the term. And then as we dove deeper into it, oh, spiritual bypassing is a thing. Oh, we've walked, I'm sorry, I keep hitting that. You're going to be fine. Like, oh my gosh, Johnna, the sound. Anyway, so that's why we talk about this. Not to point the finger, because remember, when you point the finger at someone else, you've got 3 pointing back at you and then your random thumb just pointing out somewhere
Assuming
else.
you have 5 fingers.
Yes. Okay, so emotional suppression, right? So when someone insists they are peaceful or detached, but they never allow themselves to feel anger, grief, and frustration. These emotions in this community are labeled low vibe, right? Low vibration, low frequency. And this is something that I struggle with, right? I really have to capture those thoughts because I don't like to feel anything other than lovely. I really battle with that. I have my entire life. I think my spiritual bypassing started when I was very young. And it turned into delusional land. Like, I created a completely separate fake reality that didn't exist from bypassing. Now, I didn't have these words, low vibe, but that's what I did. So toxic positivity. I mean, we've talked about this, you know, endlessly. Just focus on the good. Don't dwell on negative. You're attracting, you know, this energy, which there's some truth in this, guys. There really is. But
we're going to get into more of that in a little bit.
Clint's just like, there's a bone like right over here, and he's so excited to just glob on to it. But really, this is dismissing just real suffering in the human experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Avoiding personal responsibility. This one, when whatever happens, it's just like, oh, well, that's karma, or
Yeah.
everything is just a lesson, or
I say that.
which again, it highlights the nuance of things.
Yeah.
Yes, there are lessons in everything. That doesn't mean it was only a lesson.
Yeah.
It could also mean you fucked up.
Yeah.
And you got to own that.
Totally.
But here's the lesson I can learn from that.
Yes.
And not
I'm
just.
so glad you said that. Yeah.
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 Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Because it's so true. Because everything is a lesson. But being able to evaluate that lesson from a space of self-awareness and allowing yourself to feel the emotions attached to it, because emotions are guideposts, right? And working through it, and then taking the lesson into the future and going, okay, not doing that again.
Right.
Or, yay, that worked out good.
Hey, quick pause. If this episode is hitting you and you're ready for real tools, here's what we built.
Head on over to cjelevatedlife.com, pick up the Rebuilt Method for Men
Whoa.
or the Rebuilt Method for Women, just $67 each. We also created the Parasite Detox Blueprint at $37. And this is actually the exact protocol we use ourselves.
And while you're there, sign up for the newsletter. You'll get the weekly action steps and new tools we've tested ourselves. Let's get back to the episode.
Speaking of emotions, emotional detachment. This one is just like, oh, I'm above all this. I don't participate in drama. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I don't like drama. I'm not a drama person, which, okay, if you have to
Life
say that
is
a million
drama.
times a day.
Yeah. Tell me you're into drama without telling me you're into drama by saying I'm not involved in drama. But life is dramatic. I mean, honestly, guys, we're on a ball flying through the universe with a bunch of other people. Why are we here? What are we doing? We're trying to deal with all this stuff. It's dramatic. It just is. It's a dramatic experience.
And I guess, maybe this is a conversation for a different time, but even just defining the concept of drama.
Yeah.
What is that? Because there's the version of it like you're talking about, that life,
Yeah.
and then there's the version of somebody sat at the wrong seat, when you're all going out to dinner, and I usually sit there and somebody else sat there.
Are you
And
talking
now
about
there's
church
drama.
right now?
I said dinner, but yes. Now, what do we do with, we got to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but
really, it's just an avoidance strategy. You're avoiding connection. You're avoiding vulnerability. Or you're inflating your ego to the point where it's like, I just am so enlightened and blah, 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 that I don't mingle with the low levels.
which takes us kind of to the last part of what we're talking about here, which I think is both the most glaring but also easiest one to get sucked into. I would say the I can't even say that word.
Say it, because I can't say it either.
Intellectualizing,
Yeah.
over-intellectualizing spiritual ideas. Basically, using the big words.
Uh-huh.
And it just, especially if you don't have the experience and knowledge on your own, if you're just starting out or seeking new information, and people have all the phrases and all the words, and they can speak eloquently about it. It's very easy to get sucked into it, because it's like, oh, this person knows things that I don't, so clearly they've studied it, that they're knowledgeable, whatever. When in reality, once you get a little bit deeper, it's like, oh no, they're full of shit.
Totally.
They just memorized scripts.
Yeah, it's like Christianese or any kind of religion where it's like, I know all the blah, blah, blah talk, but where the rubber meets the road is how you walk it out.
Right.
It is embodiment, right? So if you're guru is like, oh, awakening energy, and that's all they can talk about, and they're not talking about, yeah, I got effing pissed because blah, 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 blah. You know, that would be a red flag. If they're just speaking in this, you know, the people who just sit there and they're like this all the time, like on Instagram, they're like, it's like, dude, that is not the human experience. It's not. And what it does is it makes the person who is trying so hard feel like, oh, this is what I need to ascend to, is someone who's just wrapped in fucking linen all the time, sitting on a mountain, just look at me, I've just ascended the entire human population. And it really is just spiritual ego wrapped in spirituality. You see this in religion and Christianity with, oh, all you people are going to burn in hell, but I've got the first class ticket. It's the same shit repackaged for a different group of people, honestly. It's just, anyway. So go ahead. I just got on a tangent. Now I need to drink some coffee.
That's okay. I was just going to dabble or sprinkle in a little bit of fitness stuff in this realm as well, because you see this in the fitness world a lot, where people have all the buzzwords and all the, you know, all the words that most people don't know, all the muscles and that kind of stuff. But then, and they can speak that all day. But then if you go to them and like, okay, if I do this movement, it kind of hurts here. What should I do about that? Then they just go into their big diatribe and can't just say, well, let's see how you're moving. Let's fix you, or let's make some adjustments on you.
Yeah, or maybe your body mechanics are different. Maybe you have a short femur and you can't squat like that.
Right. But it's just, I guess my point is, if the reaction to an individual's circumstances are just more of the same buzzword bullshit, then there's probably, you know, it's in the fitness world, but in every world, it's a lot of spiritual bypassing, and they potentially don't really know what they're talking about, and they just know how to regurgitate information.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's about compassion and love, right? And so I don't care what we're talking about. I don't care if we're talking about fitness. I don't care if we're talking about the spiritual community or the religious community. If people are not compassionate and walking in love, it's fake. That's just what it is. So anyway, let's talk about how spiritual bypassing shows up in relationships. Go for it, sir.
Well, I think you kind of just hit on exactly what it is, because it ends up being what you're saying of, hey, instead of just having love and compassion for somebody, it can be like, well, you know, you're the one in charge. You're manifesting this for yourself. You're choosing this reality, instead of like seeking to understand. Another Stephen Covey thing. Stuff is in my head for some reason. It just is like, well, you're clearly not doing the work. You're clearly not ascended. So you're reaping what you're sowing, essentially.
Yeah, which you do. That is what you do. But, you know, sorry, the just be positive, right? Or your vibration is low. What you're doing is, first of all, you're making that person feel like crap, but you're also teaching them to bypass their emotions. Can we as humans start listening to the people in our circle that choose you, listener, to be vulnerable with? Can you just hear them? Is there any way we can just hear them and go, gosh, my heart just aches for you. I don't have the words to say, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, well, you just need to raise your frequency and just be positive, think positive, live, laugh, love. Or some random scripture verse. It's nauseating because it totally is like, it just bypasses the human emotion. It is okay to be angry and frustrated, and now how you deal with that is next level, right? But it's okay to feel those feelings.
Which kind of gets us into the next thing with how it shows up in personal growth. And it's a lot of suppression of that. Feeling like, okay, I need to go meditate. I need to, read another spiritual book. I need to talk to my guru. And it's a suppression of those things, of the anger that you feel about a certain thing, or the grief, or the unresolved trauma, or all those things. Rather than dealing with those things, you go and you look for the mask or the Band-Aid or the quick fix that gives you the shot of dopamine, like, oh no, I am good now. Okay.
Yeah.
Except you didn't actually deal with what that was.
Right. Yeah. So healthy spirituality versus spiritual bypassing. Okay. Healthy spiritual growth actually includes emotional work. Yay. It's super fun. Not the avoidance of it. And it can be really ugly. Anger, grief, confusion, vulnerability, and accountability. And it can be bursts of screaming. It can be bursts of punching someone. I know that I have, punched Clint. Just thank you.
I was okay with it.
Yeah. You just, it's not pretty. It's just not pretty. Recognizing these emotions are just part of the process. And if you squish them down, they manifest in other ways. Disease is a huge thing. I mean, fibromyalgia now is being linked to unprocessed female emotion. Stuff being squished down massively. And so it's so important to get this rage out, women. And I'm speaking for women right now because there's a lot of women rage going on. But make sure you're processing these things, and however they need to get out. Try not to hurt someone, like when I punched Clint in the stomach. But they need to escape.
Yeah, and be dealt with.
Yeah.
Escape and understood and processed, and that's the way that you can move forward with them.
Yeah, and ask questions, right? Like, why am I angry? What is this coming from? Why is there confusion in this? Ask yourself. We get so, caught up in asking everyone else about everything. On this journey, it is a journey to self. It's not the journey to asking my spiritual advisor, asking my energy worker. Yes, those tools are helpful, but at the end of the day, it's about going inward. Stop reaching for the outward stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into a little bit more of the backstory of how we got here, now that we kind of understand what spiritual bypassing is?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm skipping around on our outline a little bit.
That is okay. I don't care. It's no big deal.
It really, I mean, there's a lot of different situations, I guess, that people would probably, or that could say where things came from. But one of the big areas that this whole mindset came in was with the self-help boom.
Yeah.
Starting in the 70s, maybe a little before, but really the late 1900s, where it became kind of in vogue, right, for the self-help idea. And as with so many other things, it took a really good idea and essentially dumbed it down and made it easy for everybody. That was the goal. Yeah. It's like, okay, this monk or this, whatever different religion or philosophical actual guru, in the real sense of the term, has spent 50 years in this practice, developing it within themselves and everything. Now you can do it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is really what it was.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of pulling from that stuff of okay, here's all this boiled down into one simple phrase. Change your thought, change your life.
Yeah.
You know, everything is energy, focus on the positive. And as if that would be a thing then that could put you in the same place as somebody who's done deep internal work their entire lives.
And most people who are walking in the real, authentic, deep internal work aren't wanting to be worshipped as gurus.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. They're going to sit with you just like Yeshua sat with the people. They're going to hang out with the losers that society says are losers. They're not going to want to be, oh my goodness, look at it. What's the guy who just was attached to the Epstein files? Deepak Chopra. Yeah. Oh my goodness, you're just so, you know what I mean? They don't want that. It's more like, no, I'm going to sit down here with the people that are being spat on because they have it internally. They get it. So as the wellness industry grew into a multi-billion-dollar market, just like McDonald's, you get the drive-through version of spiritual awakening, which is retreats, courses, coaching programs, supplements, manifestation workshops, which I am not opposed to these things, but you need to be very discerning when you attach yourself to these things with the person in charge, because I know a lot of people that do these things that are lovely, and it's great to be part of a community. But if they're saying that you need me, the guru, to heal yourself, that's a red flag.
Mm-hmm. And you need me, the guru, to heal you and pay me $5,000 and come to Costa Rica for a week, and then you'll be fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I will have healed you.
Yeah, right. And then when that doesn't happen, then you're like, what's wrong with me? Like when I didn't speak in tongues at the Pentecostal whatever when I was 12, and it was like, oh, something's wrong with you. You didn't get your tongues. And I'm sitting there looking at all these people literally going, this is the fakest thing I've ever faken seen. So, you know what I mean? And I was like 10 or 11. So anyway, the messaging often shifted from self-inquiry to quick transformation, instant abundance, perfect health, effortless happiness, spiritual awakening right away without going into the deepest, darkest parts of your soul. Right? And a lot of people globbed onto it. And I've globbed on to things like that as well. I mean, not going to retreats and stuff, but like, oh my gosh, if I read, the book, The Secret, then I'm going to be able to manifest anything I want. And what that brought was, no, you're actually going to go really into some dark places. So anyway.
Hey friends, if you're getting something out of this, connect with us on our social media platforms. We're at CJ Elevated Life _ on Instagram and TikTok, and CJ Elevated Life on Facebook and X. We're answering DMs, sharing daily content, and building community with people ready for real transformation. For now, hit subscribe wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We drop 2 new episodes every week. And if this episode resonates, share it. That's how we reach more people who are ready for change. You can also find everything at cjelevatedlife.com. All right, let's keep going.
Well, thank you for bringing The Secret up, because that's been for you longtime listeners.
Yeah.
We did, and for new listeners, you can go back and check it out. We did a podcast, I don't know, several months ago.
I don't even know when.
About The Secret.
Yeah.
And the law of attraction and manifestation.
Yeah.
And what that looks like. And it might be valuable for us to go back and listen to it, because
it would make me cringe.
Yeah.
Because I talk about spiritual bypassing,
Right. It really, now looking at it right now with the lenses that I have, it highlights the commercialization of this whole process.
Yeah.
Manifesting not being, okay, I need a goal or something, and here's how I'm going to work to get to it, and here's the things that I'm going to do, and all that stuff. It was just like, No, I mean, the one that sticks with me in that, and I just got to bring this up because all the time, the kid who, thought, oh, I'm going to get free passes or, cut in line passes to Disney World. And then the next day, his family got picked. And so he got the cut in line passes to Disney World because he manifested it. Talk about an abuse of the philosophy of manifestation.
And why do you say that? Because you have a follow-up to that.
I do?
Yeah. Remember when you were like, because I know for a fact
that
there were, so
right.
say that.
Yeah, which is what I said at the time and even more firmly believe now. Every little kid, it was like a 10-year-old kid, every kid is at that hotel the night before was thinking, I want those passes to cut to the front of the line.
Yep.
And so of the thousands of kids that were all having this same thought, one kid got it, but the other ones didn't. And so again, it's like, oh, you got a bug in your hair. By your right cheek.
Right cheek.
Right there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Yeah.
Back to the secret.
It just makes a point that you've talked about before of if those kids had the knowledge that, oh no, with the secret of all you have to do is manifest this. If basically what it makes it sound like is if you're a good person and you've done the right things and you manifest or you think about something, it's going to come true. If it doesn't come true, well, you fucked up somewhere.
Yeah, you're broken. It's your broken way of, and mind you, there's nuance to this because I do believe in manifestation and good vibes and all of these things, but the way it's packaged is just, it's like a McDonald's drive-through.
It's such a great analogy.
All you have to do is think good thoughts and then your whole this is going to change. And a lot of things do change. It's very slow, just like when you're trying to change your meat suit. And you have to go in to go out. And those are the things that a lot of the secret or whoever these people are, law of attraction people, miss. Because I don't remember one time the lady who wrote The Secret go, yeah, you can manifest shit, but guess what? You got to go deep within yourself and deal with all your effing issues and clear out the vessel so that you can be a pure vessel for goodness to flow through. Never once heard her say that. And it may take years, by the way. May take years and probably 18 dark nights of the soul. And, but then after that, you'll get your Disneyland tickets or whatever. It's just like, anyway.
That one just, it really rubs me the wrong way because it just completely discounts what you're talking about as far as doing that inner work, doing that, going through the muck of dealing with whatever you've got to deal with. Like, oh no, idiot, you just said the wrong mantra. Say the mantra this way, and
how
now
much of that? And I got sucked into that. Like, oh, if you want this, say this mantra. And finally, I got to a point last year where I'm like, I'm not fucking listening to anyone. I'm going to say my own things. And I talked about this, how, I did all the mantras, I did all the things. And really, it was just like, okay, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? Something's wrong with me. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. I'm not this enough. And then I had this epiphany of, well, Johnna, you've had a prayer life your entire life. Why don't you just, and it has worked my entire life. Why don't we stop doing what Home Slice is telling me to do on the internet and we do what has always worked for you? That's higher self Johnna talking to current self Johnna. And I started doing that again because that's my language to source is different from anyone else's, just like our fingerprints, right? All different. And so when I started doing that, connecting to myself, then it started to, manifest, right?
Yeah, and the way it's I know we're kind of getting off on a manifestation tangent here, but
Well, it's so huge right now. I feel like I think it's important, honestly.
and an indicator for me where, because I'm certainly not saying that still don't have some spiritual bypassing, and I mean,
same.
I think we all do. We've established
Yeah.
that from the beginning, but when you start to move away from it a little bit and recognize it and address it, what I've found, the manifestation, how the manifestation manifests is more in direction. So rather than, I want to manifest $1 million home, so I'm going to sit here and think about it and then I'll get $1 million home. It's okay, here's a step. What if you redirected this money to do a different thing? What if you had built this offering, meaning like, a program or something? Or what if you took care of this in your life to see where that would lead? Because that's going to free up a lot of mental space to be able to do something else. So it's not just, I thought about some shit and I got the shit.
Yeah.
It's
practical steps.
Here's the steps.
Yeah.
Here's the steps, because now you have the internal capacity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because you're not just trying to, no, everything's sweet, give me my house.
Yeah, there is action, and that is something that the McDonald's drive-through manifestation community doesn't talk about. They want you to make the vision boards and the affirmations and the visualizations, but sitting down and building skills and planning financially or any kind of accountability is like, oh no. So I think a combination of the two work very well, because I totally believe in visualization of things that I want, right? Or the way I want to see my life. We're the creators of our lives, yes. But creation doesn't happen by just sitting there and doing The Secret and then just laying in bed like, okay, I am visualizing, whatever. And then it just appears. There's action. So it's like breadcrumbs, right? Like I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's super important, that directions that you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get us back on track.
I know, right? So ignoring systemic or real world factors. This is another thing that happens. And I think that, this is applicable to right now. Manifestation teaching suggests that all outcomes are personal creations, right? And that can ignore economic conditions, social structures, health realities, or life circumstances. Now, I do know people who have, healed themselves, whatever, but they took actionable steps. So that's really what we need to hit home here, is the actionable steps on top of having that mental direction. Okay?
I think, yeah. I mean, I totally agree. I don't know. I think we've probably hit home pretty good about the concepts of higher frequency, toxic positivity, all those things.
Yeah.
It's, and I hope we've illustrated the nuance enough, because we're not saying that it's a bad thing to be positive.
No. Not at all.
It's fantastic, and it does help, even in a, like, just an example, because John always says I never have my personal examples, so here's a personal example.
I don't always say that.
My grandma passed away, I don't know, a month ago now, or a couple months ago or something, and at the funeral, my family, my immediate family, tends to do really well with finding, I don't want to say joy, but some sort of positivity in negative situations. So there was still so many opportunities for me and my son and my brothers to find some humor, or find some levity, or find some positivity at her funeral. And that wasn't making it wasn't making light of the funeral. It wasn't downplaying sadness and grief for losing somebody, because that still existed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the denial of those feelings. It was taking those feelings and being able to own them and mold them and shape them into something that could still be positive.
Right.
So I think that's the key. Maybe one of the fruits from avoiding spiritual bypassing, I guess, or doing the inner work to get to a certain place is you can make that transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hope that this was helpful for you listeners, because it was helpful for me. Like as we dove into this and really got into our notes and we were discussing it, it's like, wow, these are some things that I still struggle with. I still struggle. I have some kind of guilt with negative emotions, and I'm not sure why. I don't know what the genesis of that is. Now that I've spoken it out loud, I'm going to have some kind of epiphany that's going to make me cry for 3 days. But anyway, I hope that was helpful, right? And that you can dive deep into yourself, right? This is like the core message of every podcast. Turns out everything is within.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have negative emotions, all right? They are guideposts. And when you have those negative emotions, go deeper and see where they come from, and then ask for the tools to resolve those things. Ask yourself, ask source, right?
Such a key point right there. Ask for the tools for resolution, not for masking.
Yeah.
Not to make you feel better, not to just get through I need to get through this and then things will be okay. No, you have to work your way through it.
You
and
do.
That's the tools. Whatever tools work for you, those are the tools that you can use.
And remember, when you're in the thick of that, every storm runs out of rain. All right? So thank you so much for listening. I hope it was helpful.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
What'd you think?